Good morning. Good to be with you this morning and continuing to build on the four pillars of a healthy Christian business leader. And the four pillars are healthy relationships, biblical financial values, biblical spiritualities, and then balanced living. And this week, we're focusing on pillar number one. And pillar number one is, again, healthy relationships. And I titled the series for this week, I Am the Boss, or I'm the Boss. And so this morning, I want to just talk about why will people bend over backwards for some bosses and not for others. So why is that? So why is it on the one hand, there's a boss and they're more than happy to do whatever, and another one, every time they ask, there's like a reaction. Well, have you ever had a boss that no matter what they asked you to do, you were just like, yeah, I'll do that, sure. And you were ready to go and ready to help and ready to do whatever it was that they asked of you. Or maybe you've had a boss that simply, every time they asked you to do something, it just irritated you. It just rubbed you the wrong way. It just kind of got your back up. It just caused you to say, you know what? I'll do it because obviously you're the boss and I gotta do this, but I'm in essence only doing this out of obligation. I'm doing this. I'm constantly just resisting. Even I have no desire to do it, but I'll do it because, well, you're the boss. What makes a difference? What makes a difference? Why? Why is it for one boss we're more than happy to serve and do whatever, and for another we're not? Well, sometimes it could just be the difference. It can be things like personality. Personality is not something you can choose, and it's not something that you can necessarily do much about. I mean, let's face it. Some people have a personality that we can get along with, and some people have a personality that no matter what, it just rubs us the wrong way. It's just something about them, right? It just irritates. And others, it's just like, well, their personality is just welcoming and inviting, and we just connect and more than happy to work with them. Sometimes it's that. Sometimes it's the way they ask. Right? Sometimes they might have a great personality, but their way of asking the question, it's just like they're making you feel guilty. They make you feel maybe belittled. They just the way they ask the question. And it might be something in the tone of voice. It might be who knows what, right? Or they're just the personality. They can ask and they just ask in such a way that, yeah, sure, I'm happy to help. And so the way they ask can impact whether we're willing to help out or not. Sometimes it's the expectations, right? What are their expectations of us? And if their expectations are realistic, then if they ask us something, it's like, well, that makes sense, of course. Or if their expectations are unrealistic, well, then it's like, well, you know what? Like, I'm already spending way more time here doing what I really don't want to be doing to start off with, and now you're putting this on top of me, on top of that, and the expectations are just so unrealistic that it just drives you crazy. So those are possible things. Well, Jesus taught a great lesson on being the kind of boss that gets the good response. And I think most bosses want to be the kind of boss that get the good response. I don't think there's too many bosses that wake up in the morning saying, you know what? I'm going to try and irritate everybody today. I'm going to try and make everybody's life just miserable. I don't think that that's the way most people work. There might be the odd one here or there, but most don't. They want to have the good response. Well, here in the Gospel of John, chapter 13, verse 12, when Jesus had washed their feet and put on his outer garment, he reclined with them again at the table. And do you know what I have done for you, is what he asked. You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, because I am. So if I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set an example so that you should do as I have done for you. Truly, truly, I tell you, no servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. If you know these things, you will be blessed if you do them. So that's a significant statement passage there that Jesus made. And in that passage, he made that great statement. So Jesus had just washed the disciples' feet. And there had been that whole ordeal with Peter and, don't wash my feet because, you know what, I'm Peter and you don't need to wash my feet. And Jesus said, no, I need to wash your feet. And he says, well, if you're going to wash my feet, well, then give me a complete bath. And Jesus says, no, we don't need to do that. If you've been bathed already, then all you need is to have your feet washed. And there's a whole spiritual lesson there that we could talk about some other day. But here Jesus is giving an example of washing their feet. He asked them, and I love that. Jesus, the teacher, he teaches by often asking questions. And so he asks them the question, what have I just done? What have I just done for you? And, so he's getting them to think through. And he says, you call me teacher and Lord. If we were to put that in business terms today, we'd say, you call me boss, or you call me the boss. And he confirms that that's right. They ought to. If you're the boss, then the people that work for you ought to consider you to be the boss, and not their buddy, not their comrade, but you are the boss. And so Jesus is saying, you're right. I am the Lord. I am your master. I am your teacher. The point that Jesus was making to the apostles was, I served you. I served you. And you need to serve others. And you need to serve each other. The great lesson that we learn, and I think we can take into business, is this. Of course, it applies to all of life, but also in business. Lead by example. Lead by example. What is it you want those that work for you to do? How do you want them to work? I've had bosses who come and they supervise. They stand by while everybody else is working, and they give commands. And oftentimes the sense is they don't even know how to do the job, but somehow they got to become the boss, and then they're telling us what to do when in fact they don't even really know what they're doing. Well, those kinds of bosses you very quickly lose respect for. But the guy that gets down, and works with you and alongside you and demonstrates by his actions that he knows what he's doing, those are the bosses you have respect for. You see, it's always easier to serve a boss who serves, who works alongside you, who demonstrates that they understand what the job is that they're calling you to do, and aren't afraid to do the job themselves. And that is, again, a significant lesson that we can learn from Jesus. Today, as you go about your day, consider what kind of boss you are. If you're a boss in a shop, ask yourself, what kind of boss am I? How do the people that work for me, how do they see me? And then finally, may we learn to be the kind of boss that leads by example. Have a great day, and I'll see you again tomorrow.